Hey guys, can you guys hear me all right? Good. Let me put a timer on from me. Thank you, Charlotte, for inviting me here. Appreciate honor and privilege to be among you guys today. My name is Terry. I'm an alcoholic. Sobriety date is June 1st, 2019. I have a sponsor. I also sponsor other men. I have a home group. It's we meet every single night at 9 p.m. Eastern. I know that's kind of late for you guys. And we get a new speaker every single night. It's a line by line, big book study, intense look at our basic texts, and we get a different speaker every night, and they share their experience on the literature, not their opinion, and I love that. I'm a big fan of that. Why? Because I used to give my opinions on experiences I never had. Right? I'm going to talk a little bit about running the show and playing God today. And how that's blocked me off from the sunlight of the spirit for quite a long time. And, Charlotte asked me to speak, and the next day I was reading my prayer and meditation book. This is called 365 Tao. I don't have the front of the page because my son ripped it off. He's 17 months old. He's sleeping, so I got to be quiet. It's called 365 Tao, and I want to read it to you guys. I thought it was appropriate with the topic. Pure light is all colors, therefore it has no hue. Only when singleness is scattered does color appear. When we see pure sunlight streaming down upon us, it is pure radiance, so bright that we can discern neither details nor colors from its source. But when light strikes the wings of a dragonfly, or when it shines through misty rain, or when it shines on the surface of our skin, it is polarized into millions of tiny rainbows. The world explodes, I like that word, with color because all the different surfaces and textures fracture the light into innumerable and overlapping dimensions. The same is true of God. In its pure state, it embodies everything. Thus, it shows nothing. Just as pure light has all colors, yet shows no color, so too is all existence initially latent and without differentiation in God. Only when God enters our world does it explode through other things. We say that everything owes its existence to God, but really these things are only a refraction of the great God. Colored light, when mixed together, becomes pure, bright light again. That is why those who follow God constantly speak of returning or going back home. They unify all areas of their lives and unify of all distinctions into a whole. There cannot be diversity within unity. When our consciousness rejoins the true God, there is only brightness and all color disappears. I've been living in the sunlight of the spirit for quite a while. People ask me, what I do today and how when you live life forward, you understand it backwards. And looking back at my life, I've had quality sobriety since I've been 3 months sober and on. I went to a rehab. This is my sixth rehab in Minnesota. And I went out there and I was introduced to the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And guys, I did not want to pick up the big book because I thought it was too big. It's like, screw that thing, right? Right, Gordon? I think it's way too big, right? And then I open it up, it says, there is a solution, right? How dark it is before the dawn, before we see the sunlight of the spirit. I was so broken and I was suicidal at the end. And I opened up the book and it says, there is a solution. It's the first page I looked up. And if you're new here, you're within the first year, or you have time and you're living in the bedevilments and you don't know that you're in the last 30 days of your recovery, we have a solution here. There is a solution, right? That's why I carry this book wherever I go. It says carry this message, our 12-step. What message? The big book. I like to carry the solution with me, because it could get watered down in meetings and the fellowship. like me saying, hey, Connie, the common solution is a spiritual experience. And Connie tells Christine, and Christine tells Kate, and Kate tells Charlotte. And then Charlotte comes back to me and says the New York Mets won the World Series. It gets a little funneled down, but with this book, the integrity of our literature is preserved in the literature, the message, right? So I carry this book wherever I go. And looking back at my life, I was given this promise, and I'll give this promise to everybody here as well. If you do exactly what it says and how it works, like exactly what it says and how it works, and exactly what it says in action, and you just try to help other alcoholics, and you demonstrate these principles, these steps in all your affairs, you'll stay sober for the rest of your life. In our forwards to the first edition, it says, we hope these pages prove to be so convincing that no further authentication is necessary. What does that mean? No more drinking is necessary. Are you convinced? Right? So I look back in my life, and in the word sunlight of the spirit, what Bill does in the book is that, good writers do two things that they don't do. I'm sorry. They don't capitalize words in the middle of a sentence. What's up with that, right? And they don't repeat themselves, but Bill does that all throughout this book. So whenever they capitalize a word in the middle of a sentence, they're referencing a power greater than yourself. And sunlight of the spirit is capitalized on page 64 of our basic text, right? And there's 4 requirements for spiritual growth in our program, and they're outlined in We Agnostics of our program. And the first one is my favorite one, which is associated with sunlight of the spirit. It says, do not let any prejudice deter you from honestly asking yourself what these spiritual terms mean to you. So you take all these capitalized words, you put them on a piece of paper, you lay aside prejudice. You don't have to get rid of it, just lay it aside and ask yourself, what does sunlight of the spirit mean to you? You're creating your own conception of a power greater than yourself, because the God that you came in here with is not the God that's going to keep you sober. I'm going to say that one more time. The God that you came in with is not the God that's going to keep you sober. I'm trying to build a personal relationship with the God of my own understanding. So what does sunlight feel? It feels warm. It feels warm. What a spirit. That feels like it's deep within me. Right? So I'm going to start praying to this sunlight of the spirit. And when I get into the third step, I'm going to abandon myself utterly to this power. And I turn it over by doing the steps 4 through 9. The other 3 requirements of recovery is to lay aside prejudice. Right? They actually beg us twice in this book. I don't know if anyone has really noticed that, but this book was written by the first 100, and what they do is they beg us twice. They beg us to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Does that ring a bell with everybody and how it works, right? And they also beg us to lay aside prejudice, even against organized religion. Right? That's why I'm a huge advocate of the lay aside prayer. I love it. I don't know if anyone's ever heard the lay aside prayer. It is taken out from We Agnostics and different parts of how it works as well. Right? God, please lay aside everything I think I know, ... so I may have a new experience and an open mind with ... Amen. Why is that prayer so powerful? Because I think I know everything. I think I know what's best, right? My mind likes to identify itself with reality. My mind thinks it's the alpha, the omega, and the beginning and end of all, rather vain of it, right? That's why I lay this aside. Very powerful prayer. It keeps me with an open mind. Right? I highly recommend that you incorporate that prayer in your recovery. It's a Swiss Army knife. Literally a Swiss Army knife tool. I don't know about you guys. When I drank, I became the drink. Anyone take a drink and the drink takes you, right? I became the drink. When you do a sincere prayer, you become the prayer. So I start to become a demonstration of this prayer. Where does it point me to? It points me to God. It points me to an open mind. It points me to a new experience. I ask God to ask me to help me with speaking today. I hate hearing my old boring story. I know a lot of people like it. I just get tired of saying it. I ask them for a new experience and an open mind to carry this message about the sunlight of the spirit. This warmth, the spirit inside. What does that mean to me? And how has that changed and transformed and transcended my life? So the next requirement is to seek. Seek. Says God doesn't make too hard terms with those who seek him. Right? This is what this whole deal is about. God could and would if he were sought. You know, it's actually in the first edition it said God can and will if he were sought. That's the proper attitude. Anyone hear about the proper attitude in AA? You could be constitutionally incapable of being honest with yourself, but with this attitude of God can and will if he was sought, you cannot fail. And there's different levels of seeking. Right? Anyone remember playing hide and seek when you're a kid? Charlotte, you ever play hide and seek when you're a kid? Go 3 or 4 years old, you go look for your friend, can't find him. I give up. Low level of seeking, right? Guys, remember when there's I think it's coming up in a couple of months. In Easter, there's a nice 6-pound chocolate, right? Easter. I'm going to go look for some Easter eggs. Go find some chocolate. Different level of seeking. Anyone lose their puppy, lose their cat, lose your puppy in the woods, you're looking everywhere for your puppy, even posting up signs everywhere. 1 month later, you walk by those same woods, like hoping one day my puppy will walk out of there. Even 10 years later, you're hoping their puppy will go out. Different level of seeking. I don't know about you, but I was a 24/7 drunk guy. I chased that bottle. Different level of seeking. Imagine putting that towards a power greater than yourself. Sky's the limit. I mean, Dr. Bob even said if you put half the zeal into your drinking, you're bound to get results. If I did 1/16 of the effort I did to getting alcohol, I'm gonna get results. Right? My cornerstone is fixed in place. The last one is to express even a willingness. What does that mean? That means I'm going to act as if. I'm going to act as if God is everything. I remember I was in Minnesota. I was at this part in We Agnostics with my sponsor, and he asked me, he's like, we get to this point where on page 53 it says when we became alcoholics, right? We lost power, choice, and control. I'm drinking against my will. I get thirstier when I drink, right? The drink takes me. I have this utter inability to leave it alone. I couldn't postpone or evade this question anymore. I had to fearlessly face this proposition that either God is everything or else he is nothing. He either is or he isn't. What is your choice to be? And I'll never forget this, Allison. I'll never forget this. I'm sitting in this little coffee shop called Caribou in Minnesota. And by the way, Jim, I don't even know where I'm at in Minnesota. I kept asking people, am I near Canada? Am I near Iowa? Where am I? Right? And he says, Terry, can you explain God? I'm like, heck yeah, I can explain God. Just completely tongue-tied. He's like, it's pretty hard to explain everything, Terry. Because God is everything and everything's God and you're not God. And right then and there, I was rocketed right into this fourth dimension of existence I couldn't even dream. God can't be explained, but he could be experienced. I'm going to say that one more time. God can't be explained, but he could be experienced. Right? My prejudice, my preconceived thoughts, and my doubts is that I need God to be explained. That was my barrier. That was the prejudice I had to lay aside. I could run out of money. I could run out of success. I can even run out of gas while I'm driving, Gordon, but I can never run out of God. And guys, when I got out of rehab, I had nothing. I had nothing. I'm a little bit more animated at this point, but my baby's sleeping, so I gotta keep it quiet. I had nothing, guys. What is your choice to be, Terry? Is God everything or else he's nothing? God is everything. Let's rock and roll. Let's rock and roll. Live your life forward, understand it backwards. When I put my life in the loving arms of a higher power, the sunlight of the spirit, when I look back at my life, when I made those decisions to go that route, my life is pretty great. It is beyond my wildest dreams. And I got to tell you, my dreams are pretty wild. just kidding. There's a spiritual exercise in that as well. God is everything or else is nothing, right? So if God is everything, that also means he's also in the nothing. So here's a spiritual exercise for everybody in this room. Go find God in everything. Go find him when you walk out the door. Go find him when you're washing the dishes. Go find him when you're cleaning. Go find him when you're at work. Go find him when you're talking to your friends. Go find him when you're eating at the diner. Go find him when you're at church. Go find him when you're not at church. Go find him with your friends. Go find him with your family. Go find him when you're on the phone. Go find him when you're getting in the shower. Go find him when you get out of the shower. Go find him and watch your life change. Watch your life change. I'm living in the sunlight of the Spirit because it started with this little cornerstone, this willingness to believe that there was something out there. I was asked that question. Do you believe, Terry, or are you even willing to believe? And they asked me, do you believe? I'm like, no, back up, bro. I don't believe. Just like Bill, I had a prejudice. Can you explain God? And also I had problems with God in a human form, very similar to what Bill had. Very fun. You know, they talked about in Bill's story, he was approached by Ebby. And, you know, Ebby told him, hey, I've got religion. And all of a sudden, Bill just heard religion and then went on the next 3 pages about his preconceived thoughts and his doubts about God, right? And he was like, hold on, time out. Hold on. This guy drank more than me. Hold on, time out. This guy was supposed to be locked up for alcoholic insanity. Hold on, time out. He's sober and I'm not. What happened? His roots grasped new soil. The power of God was working in and through Ebby. Right? We're storytellers in Alcoholics Anonymous. Don't stop telling your story. You never know who you're going to help. You know, 4 years prior to me stopping, I had this utter inability to leave alcohol alone, right? I developed that phenomenon of craving that comes in the form of an allergy. The allergy in the 1930s definition-wise means I have an abnormal reaction to food, beverage, or substance. So whenever I drink, I get thirstier. I want more. I basically become a machine without an off button. I don't know about you, but I would get accidentally drunk all the time. Right? That's how I'm medically and physically powerless over alcohol. That's not how I'm different from other people. That's how I'm different from other drinkers now. Right? And I also have this love affair with alcohol. Right? When I'm stone cold sober, I feel like ripping my skin off. Why? Because you took the love of my life away from me. I'm living in the manifestations of the spiritual malady on 52, the bedevilments. Right? One of the lines that says we couldn't make a living, right? And I thought that means I can't make money. No, that means like I'm not comfortable living in my own skin. I need alcohol for that solution. I'm a solution drinker. I drank for the effect produced by. Doctor's opinion says men and women drink essentially because they like the effects produced by alcohol. Kate, I disagree with that line. I love the effects produced by alcohol. Right? And when I'm stone cold sober, the love of my life will whisper in my ear. I will fantasize about it. I will even dream about it. Anyone have drunk dreams? Normal people don't have those. I had a heart attack in 2018. How dark is it before the dawn? Right? I was in the hospital. I was drinking and I was using outside issues. You guys could do the math. I went to bodegas in the middle of the summer and it's 90 degrees in the summer to cop ski equipment. So do the math. And because of that, I had a heart attack. And I was in the hospital. They told me never to drink ever again. And I stayed sober because of fear. I throw this out there. Fear is an unreliable higher power, period. It's a false God. I'm throw this out there as well. Success is an unreliable higher power. People are unreliable higher power. Pride is an unreliable higher power. Self-knowledge is an unreliable higher power. Me knowing I'm an alcoholic ain't going to keep me sober. Right? I'm unable at certain times to bring into my consciousness, my awareness. Right? The pain and humiliation will just happen in a week or a month or 6 months or 2 years or 6 years or 10 years or 20 years. I'm without a defense against the first drink. I'm part of the no matter what club, Allison. I'm going to drink no matter what. unless I arrest my alcoholism with action and with God's aid. Sometimes we fall into a trap, guys. God kept me sober. God kept me sober. God kept me. If that was true, the big book would be 1 page and 4 words, God kept me sober. No. It says what we really have, I like that word really, what we really have is a daily reprieve contingent upon the maintenance of, that should be a song, maintenance of our spiritual condition. That means we got work to do. Work, work, work. And when we do this work, we catch the grace of God, which solves our problem. What problem? Lack of power. Page 85, it says the problem's been removed. What problem? Lack of power. Lack of power is not my dilemma today. I have had an acquisition of power through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. I have been in the sunlight of the Spirit and living in the land of milk and honey because of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. The only person that was in my way was me. I was tied at 24 minutes. Where that line comes from, it comes from page 64 of our basic text. And it's right in the smack middle of the resentments. I'm sorry, 66. Right in our middle of our resentments. And it says, for when harboring such feelings, being controlled and dominated by resentments, right? We shut ourselves off from the sunlight of the Spirit. Now, before I get into resentments, and by the way, our resentment inventory is a trick. Bill tricks us a lot. Especially with my 8th list. When I first found out that my 8th list was my 4-step list, it felt like an axe went into my heart. I'm like, hold on, I got to make amends to the people I hate. Time out. That stuff that I said I'm willing to go at any length for victory over alcohol, I'm not doing that. There's a phenomenon in this program called acceptance. And there's also another phenomenon in this program called surrender. Right? What is compliance? Compliance is a phenomenon which means partial surrender. Partial surrender. I highly recommend, there's a wonderful article by Harry Tebow called Surrender versus Compliance. Now, compliance, I partially say, yeah, I'm willing to go to any length for victory over alcohol. I'll do whatever it takes. I'm done drinking for good and for all, but I won't do that. It's like that song, do anything for love, but I won't do that. I won't do that. And what is surrender? A complete, wholehearted acceptance within. That's an internal condition. And it said it's not easy taken on by human beings. That's why there is immense pain right before a real surrender. Our literature talks about us being reborn. What does that mean? That means something's got to die. And what is that? That's the alcoholic ego. Guys, I was walking around with this phenomenon, which I love to call ADD. It means alcoholic defiance disorder. I have resisted literally everything in this program. Literally everything in this program. If anyone's looking for a sponsor, here's some good questions to ask your sponsor, right? Have you finished all your amends? Every single one of them. Are you sponsoring others? Do you have a sponsor? Do you have a home group? Do you have a commitment at that home group? Are you practicing the 3 sides of the triangle? Are you practicing the traditions? Who has fully surrendered to this program? It took me a long time to do that before I stepped into the sunlight of the Spirit. I was living in the world of self. Very dark there. Right, Madeline? Oh, Madeline, good to see you. She popped on my screen. Good to see you. Something's got to die. Something's got to die. Right? It talks about our literature that Am I convinced that any life run on self-will could hardly be a success? That's before we even take the third step prayer. I have to be convinced that any part of my life, that means my AA way of life, my family life, my relationship life, my work life, my driving life, I mean, every single part of my life could hardly be a success run on self-will. And here's a spiritual exercise for everyone in this room. I highly recommend it. Go to if go to 2 to 3 people. I'm gonna get rid of the two. Whenever I say two, everybody does the two. Then go do three. Do 3 people who you've given spiritual consent to post you up on your BS and ask them, how do you see me running my life on self-will? And you shush up and you listen. No rebuttal. And they'll tell you how you run the show. How you love playing God and you don't even know you're playing God. How we're an extreme example of self-will run riot. Anyone seen a riot on TV? We're an extreme example and we don't even know it. We're walking around asleep, dreaming we're awake. And we're being driven by fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity. Love what Mark Houston talks about, right? I step into a cab and my spirit's asleep, walk around asleep, dreaming I'm awake. I step into the cab, spirit's asleep. Cab driver looks back and says, "Hey, my name's Fear. Where'd you like to go today, Terry?" And fear just drives me everywhere. I'm not living in the sunlight of the spirit because I'm so self-consumed and self-absorbed. When I finally got to the point where I saw how I was running my life through the pages of 60, 61, and 62, how I used these little spiritual toolkit of self-will, right? Talks about us being virtuous and kind and considerate, even self-sacrificing. Anyone hold the door for anyone at a restaurant and they walk by and they don't say thank you? Yo, what's up? Where's my thank you at? Right? Where's my thank you? Or I pick up a piece of trash in the middle of the street and I'm looking around. Anyone see me do it? Or I could be mean, egotistical, and selfish and dishonest, right? Telling my wife to go grab me a beer. All right, hurry it up. Chop, chop. I'm just trying to get my way, especially being sober for a little bit. I'm more of this spiritual man. I have different faces of the ego. One of them is Mr. AA, Mr. Spiritual Man, Mr. AA Speaker. Do it my way. And if you don't do it my way, you're doing it the wrong way. And what happens when people don't do it my way, Charlotte? I step on their toes. And what happens when I step on their toes? They retaliate, which means they're in my column too now. They piss me off. And then I'll say, how dare you? And then I'll go into self-pity. And then I'll think, drink solution, drink answer. And when I'm constantly disturbed and constantly hurt, threatened, and interfered with, I am totally shut off from what? The sunlight of the spirit. And that's what page 66 is talking about. When I'm living a life of deep resentment. I'm going to read it to you guys, and then I'll talk about my experience with this. It is plain that a life which includes deep resentment leads only to futility, which is uselessness, and unhappiness. Do I believe that? That's a statement turned to a question. By the way, I take statements and turn them into questions and considerations. Why? Because I make this book talk personally to me. I could read all day about how boring the first 100 are, but when I put this book in the first person and I take statements and I turn them into questions or considerations, the book starts to talk to me. And it says, to precise extent, do we permit these? Do I permit these resentments? Do I squander them? Squander the hours that are worthwhile. How many hours have you squandered worth in resentment? You know how long I've been pissed off at someone for? I don't know about you, but I nurture it. I grow it. I fan that resentment. I play instant replay in my head all over, and I manipulate the scenario to make who? Me look good and you look bad. And I'm walking around asleep, drinking, dreaming I'm awake, and I'm so disconnected from the power of the sunlight of the spirit. And I'm thinking, drink solution, drink answer. No wonder why I drank all the time. I was not comfortable living in my own skin. I was living on page 52 in the bedevilments. I was separated from God. It says, but with the alcoholic, whose hope is a maintenance and growth of a spiritual experience, this business of resentment is infinitely grave. That's a death threat. And it talks about a maintenance and growth of a spiritual experience. That means that I have to grow and maintain a spiritual experience. 12 steps, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of the steps. That's past tense. That means I need to continuously have spiritual experiences on a daily basis. I can't stay sober off the inventory I wrote 4 years ago. Just like me, I can't stay clean off the shower I took 2 weeks ago. I can't stay full off of the ham sandwich I had 2 days ago. I have to have a new experience all the time. It says, we found it that is fatal. That's a statement turn into a question. Do I believe it's fatal? Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm in deep resentment, what happens? I go dark. I don't even think drink solution, drink answer. I think suicide solution, suicide answer in sobriety. Stone cold sober. For when harboring and nurturing and fanning, an instant replay in my head of these resentments, these feelings, I shut myself off from what? The sunlight of the spirit. And what happens? The insanity of alcohol returns. What does that mean? They're not talking about us being schizophrenics. When they talk about the insanity, they're talking about how we are insane when it comes to alcohol. It means I know it's going to whoop my ass, but I'm still going to drink it anyway. Or I don't know about you guys. Who's ever had a justified resentment? I have. Someone did a hit and run on my car, Charlotte, outside of my work. I walk out, I'm like, what? What just happened to my car? I got this huge dent, bumper hanging, and I'm freaking out. And I'm pissed off. I even walk up to every single store that is next to my work and ask them, are your cameras on right now? All of them said no. I'm completely shut off from the sunlight of the spirit. And I'm freaking out, Kate, freaking out. And I have about a year of sobriety under my belt. And I remember this page right here. Resentment's fatal. It is infinitely grave. It will kill me. I paused. I reminded myself I'm no longer running the show. I actually went into the bathroom. Most spiritual place you could ever go to is the public bathroom. I did an inventory in my head. Why was I angry? This person hit my car, right? Hit and run my car. It affected my self-esteem. I am the perfect driver. No one should touch my car. Affected my pride. No one should hit my car and drive away, right? Affected my security. I need my car in order to live. Affected my pocketbook. Oh, well, I'm going to pay for the insurance and this and that. Affected my personal relationships with other people. And then I paused for a second. Well, Terry, ask yourself. Very powerful prayer on 67. I'll get to that. Or the sick man prayer. I actually like to say it's the me prayer. God save me from me. Right? God save me from being angry. Right? I asked myself to look at that second column. Well, Terry, have you ever hit someone's car and drove off? Yeah, I've done it twice. Like ourselves, they were sick too. The same pain that drives me drives another person as well. God doesn't have any grandchildren. We're all brothers and sisters here. We are equals. And I put that gentleman, whoever was in, I don't even know who hit my car. I put them in the hospital bed. And I said that prayer. I asked God to show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience that I would cheerfully grant to sick friend. When this person offended, I said, this is a sick man or woman. God save me from being angry. Thy will be done. I like to say thy will is being done. That means right here, right now. And I finally looked at my mistakes, where am I to blame and where am I at fault? I was gossiping about it, selfish. I was exaggerating the truth. You know, the fourth column of your 4-step is your truth. If that's your truth, then column 2 and 3 are just a lie. You know, there's 5 steps associated with the fourth column of your resentment inventory column. Step 5, step 6, step 7, step 8, and step 9. Whatever you do, do not burn your 4-step. I hope Big's on here. Wherever you are, don't burn it. That's the key to your future. You need it. I was relieved from that resentment in that very moment. I was back on the beam. You know, it says, rarely have we seen a person fail who's thoroughly followed our path. This path is not like this going up. It's like that, zigzag, one surrender to the next, one surrender to the next, one surrender to the next. And with us, the drink is to die. If I were to live, that's a statement, turn into a question. Do I want to live? I had to be free of anger. The grouch and the brainstorm. Brainstorm doesn't mean we're all chatting in a circle, brainstorming ideas. No, brainstorm in the 1930s literally means my brain's on fire. I don't know about you, but that's how I feel in resentment. It's like a perfect description of how it feels to be in resentment. It's a dubious luxury of normal men or women, but these alcoholics we believe are poison. Which time I have 8 minutes. I want to talk about very recently I did inventory and I made amends. And what really catapulted me into a new way of living was me making every single one of my amends. And it first started with this amend that I made to my friend who was an enemy in my mind. And I made, let me backtrack a little bit. When I came back from Minnesota, I made 2 amends and I was amazed before I was halfway through. I'm good. Now I'm in compliance again. I stopped doing the work, right? And I caught a resentment. A resentment. What happens when we're in resentment? We just read it. I'm totally shut off from the sunlight of the spirit. And I went to this detox with these big book guys. Big book guys. I'm going to say that one more time. And there were drug addicts at this detox. I told my drug addict story. Because of singleness purpose, I respect the traditions. I'll stick to singleness of purpose. Told my drug addict story. Afterwards, I'm eating dinner with this guy and another guy. And the guy looks over across from me, Charlotte. You know what he said to me? He said, I'm concerned you're not a real alcoholic, Terry. This is what he said. And I was like, what are you talking about? I identify with the allergy. When I drink, I get thirstier. I want more, right? Bill's story is literally my story. I feel like he stole it from me. Great plagiarizer. Bill was a great plagiarizer. He plagiarized everything. He stole step 1 from or Dr. Silver, and he stole the steps from the Oxford group. He's a plagiarizer. He stole that from me. Right? Living in those bedevilments. I lost the power, choice, and control in the dream. What are you talking about? And like Madeline, I'm like, maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. What happened? The insanity of alcohol returned. I could literally taste tequila in my mouth. I dreamt about it. I was fantasizing about it. It was whispering in my ear. I was riding my 5th step so good. You know, it says the drink problem has been removed in the 5th step. I forgot the exact words, right? But I was riding high off of that. I mean, I had liquor in my home right over there. right? Serving it to our friends when they came over. I was in a place of neutrality then. I couldn't even walk by it. I was like, I telling my wife, you need to stop me. You need to get rid of this liquor right now. I don't care how old it is, how disgusting it is. I don't even know what that liquor's called, but I'll drink it. Get it out of the house. Talks about us just shielding us from temptation. It won't work for that long. I'm going to drink no matter what. I'm part of no matter what club. I'm going to get drunk no matter what. And I'm so cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, guys. I'm literally at a traffic light looking to make a left to go to a meeting or make a right to go to a bar. And I'm 9 months sober. Called my sponsor. I'm like, hey, sponsor, I feel like drinking, blah, blah, blah. He's like, did you make your amends? I'm like, what? How did you know I didn't make my amends? Maybe you need to make your amends. And so, like, going back to my friend, he was like an enemy in my mind, right? I was just thinking about how we're going to fight. What is he going to say? How I'm going to talk back to him. I'll drive to Connecticut, beat his ass, beat his butt. All this little stuff. It says 9 out of 10 times the unexpected happens. I'm playing the expected. I'm playing God in his head, right? Being convinced that self manifested in various ways would defeated us. Self and us are two different things. Self is that little narrative in that head that feeds me BS. Those little minions, my stage characters that feed me lies. That's why I like to bulk on the work, because I believe the lie. And I'm shaking, Connie, looking at my phone, shaking in my car, telling myself I'm willing to go to any lengths for victory over alcohol. Go like this. Trembling, just like Dr. Bob did when he was making his amends, which is nice, neatly squared on page 156 of the book. Trembled, just like Dr. Bob. Reminding myself I'll go to any lengths for a spiritual experience, any lengths for victory over alcohol. Just give me the willingness to make this call over and over and over again. And I accidentally called him, Charlie. Like, oh, oops. He picks up the phone. He's like, hey, Terry, where have you been? I miss you. I love you. I had no idea that people had love and compassion for me. Right then and there, I was rocketed right into the fourth dimension of existence. I couldn't even dream. I found out the two most important dates in my life, right? Gordon, the two most important dates in my life. It's not my sobriety date. It's not. My sobriety date just measures how much time I have. It was the day I was born and the day I found out why. And the day I found out why is to fit myself to be a maximum service to God and the people around me. Oh, let's rock and roll with these amends now. I started to make all these approach. Right? And I started noticing, I'm like, I'm not thinking about drinking. I'm not even dreaming about it. Debbie, it wasn't whispering in my ear, Debbie. I suddenly realized that God was doing for me what I could never do for myself. The obsession was removed. I did the work and God worked on me. I'll say that one more time. I did the work and God worked on me. I'm a huge advocate of practicing the spiritual disciplines of steps 10 and 11. It says, as we vigorously commence this way of living, as we cleaned up the past. That means I start 10 and 11 while I drive my step 9 amends. Why do I do that? Because I need an acquisition of power to go make every single one of my amends. The 8th step says we made a list of all people who we've harmed, became willing to make amends to them all. All means all. Whoever knows the definition of all means all. And I need that, right? I need to practice, watch, ask, discuss, turn, seize, fighting anything or anyone. Thy will is being done. Show me the way, right? Think about it. Whenever I have fear about making an amend or whatever is popping in my head, the expected that's going to happen, fear comes up. Okay, God, please remove my fear. Ask, right? Ask God to remove. Okay, I'm not feeling. I'm going to call Connie. Hey, Connie, I have this fear about making this amend. And Connie's like, shut the heck up, Terry. Go make the amend. Okay, I'll go make the amend. Or that doesn't work. Turn my thoughts to someone I could help. What about those other alcoholics? What about my other family members? What about my coworkers? Right? God gave me the power to turn my thoughts to someone I could help, right? I have recovered and been given the power to help others today. Lack of power is not my problem. I have power in my life. And because of doing the acquisition of 10 and 11, I have made every single one of my approaches today. I have a different level of freedom today. How free do you want to be? I'm living in the land of milk and honey. I'm living in the fourth dimension. I'm living in the sunlight of the Spirit. And it's fun as hell here, guys. It is fun. My life is amazing. It is amazing. Guys, I'm 1000% convinced that God has a successful recycling business. I'm just 100% sure he does. He takes trash, he turns it into treasure. He took me, a piece of trash, a tornado roaring through the lives of others, a victim of delusions and illusions, right? And he transformed me, guys. He transformed me into a father, into a husband, into an employee, into an employer who takes care of his employees, into a man of forgiveness, a man of hope, a man of faith, and most importantly, a messenger of hope. My name is Terry. I'm a recovered alcoholic. I'm looking forward to your shares and your questions, and yet again, an honor and privilege to be among you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.